Okay, for the CBA 4 review, most of these problems can be done in Desmos. So I'm going to show you the ones that can be done in Desmos, and then I'll go over some of the other ones that you don't know how to do. Problem number 1 is talking about area. So in Desmos, you would type parentheses 3x plus 5, close parentheses, parentheses 2x plus 1, because they need to be multiplied. Okay? So you would type this in Desmos, and you would type all of the answer choices in Desmos and see which one matches. They have to be exactly the same. Okay? Same thing for problem 5. You type this in Desmos, and you type the answer choices in Desmos. All of them go in Desmos just like that, and see which one matches. I know this is factoring, and if you guys are really good at factoring, then go ahead and factor by hand. But just so you know, it can be put in Desmos, and it will give you the exact answer. Okay? Problem number 6, same thing. Put the question in Desmos. Oh, no. I'll tell you how to do that one in a little bit. That one doesn't go in Desmos. You can probably factor that one by hand if you know how to factor by hand. Problem 2, you're going to use this formula with this radius. So in Desmos, you guys are going to type pi. There's a pi button in Desmos. I'll show you in a little bit. Parentheses, 4x plus 2, close parentheses, square. You would type all of that in Desmos and the answer choices in Desmos just like they are. So those are pi buttons. You would just type the pi button and see which one matches. Okay? If not, if you know how to do this by hand, you're going to do 4x plus 2 2 times. So do the box and do 4x plus 2 times 4x plus 2. This one can be done in Desmos. You would just have to do a division sign. And this needs to go in parentheses. Or just make sure that all of it is underneath this other one. And then the answer choices go in Desmos as well. Make sure that you change them to X's. Problem number 3, this can go in Desmos. The questions can go in, the answers can go in Desmos. If you can do this by hand, this is a 2 by 3 box, and you just multiply in. Problem number 4 can go in Desmos. The answer choices can go in Desmos just like that. See which one matches. Problem number 8 can go in Desmos. Make sure that you type X's instead of W's, and the answer choices can go in Desmos as well. Problem number 9 can go in Desmos. Desmos, 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 Desmos. Or you can just distribute it. 2x times negative 7x and 2x times 3 if you know how to do that by hand. Problem 10 can go in Desmos. Change those to x's. Desmos, 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 Desmos. See which one matches. Same thing with problem number 11. All of that can be in Desmos with x's instead of z's. And the answer choices go in Desmos as well. The rest of these, if you have any questions, I will go over them in just a little bit. I need you to pause the video and make sure you do all of those with Desmos first before you move on. Okay, problem number 6. You can put it in Desmos, but it's not going to match. They're not going to match because they only give you one of the factors. So really, whenever you graph it, when you graph this, it's going to look like that, right? When you see the solutions, that means where it crosses the x-axis, they look like that. One of these will go through the solution. The one that goes through the solution is the answer, okay? So most of you should have gotten, was it G or H? G? Let's go look and make sure that G works. We're going to put it in Desmos so that you can see that it does work. So I'm going to type 6x squared plus 11x minus 2. And start typing the answer choices, right? We already know that it's G, so I'm typing 6x minus 1 and see that it goes through the solution. If you need to zoom in, but this blue line goes through that solution. That's why it's one of the factors. It just has to go through one of these two, okay? Or you can factor it by hand like we've been doing it and get that answer. Okay, on the back page. Problem number 14 and 15. Those are exponents. Remember what I told you about negative exponents? What did I say about negative exponents? They move. They either go to the bottom or they go to the top. This one's at the top, so it's going to move to the bottom and it becomes a positive. So, like this, 7y to the 5th. And this one moves to the bottom, se mueve abajo, y se cambia a positivo, and it changes to a positive. Okay, so again, if it has a negative exponent, just move it. The answer is H. Number 15. A lot of them are going to have to move. Okay? This x to the 9 power has to move down. This x to the 3 goes up. And this y to the 6 goes up. So I'm going to rewrite it. I have 10 and 6. I have w to the 7th power. I have w to the 5th power. This one's going to go to the bottom. X to the 9. And then this one's going to go to the top. X to the 3. This one stays. Y to the 5th. And this one moves up. Y to the 6. Okay? So then, you're going to divide 10 divided by 6 and reduce the fraction. That's 5 over 3. Okay, so it's not C. And then, these W's, they can cancel. So if I have 7 on top and 5 on bottom, how many do I have left? 2. On top or on bottom? On top, because I have more on top. So it's W2. You subtract. Se restan. The x's, which one has more? The top or the bottom? The bottom. How many more? 6. 6 more. So those stay at the bottom. Okay, abajo hay 6 más que la de arriba. Entonces quedan abajo. And then these y's are on the same page, so then you just count them. How many do you have in total? 11. So it's y to the 11th power. Okay? So the answer is D. All right? Problem number 16. Same thing. You're multiplying this times this times this. Because it's length times width times height. So you have x to the, x to the 4th times x y to the 6th times y to the, what is that, a 3? Y to the 3. And then you just count. How many x's do you have? How many y's do you have? That's your answer. So how many x's? 5. How many y's? 9. The answer is H. Problem number 13. All of the answers have 16, right? So don't do anything with the 16. This is a power to a power. So what do you do with those two powers? You multiply them. 1/4 times 1, no, that's 3/4. 3/4 times 1/3. Okay? And you can put that in decimals and reduce it in decimals right here. You can put parentheses, 3/4 close parentheses, close parentheses, and then parentheses 1/3, close parentheses, and then press the fraction button so that it gives you the fraction, which is 1/4. So the answer is 16 to the 1/4 power. So the answer is B. Okay? And I just have to do one more with you. And this is one that I have never done with you guys. So hopefully you get it. I'll give you bonus points. So if you get this one right, you get bonus points. If you don't get it right, I just won't give you anything. Okay? So for this one, it says, which one cannot be factored? We're trying to divide by prime numbers. So prime numbers, write this down. These are the only numbers that I want you dividing by. 2 is a prime number, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, and 19, I think, 19. Anyway, you just start dividing by those numbers. I would start, can I divide by 2 or can I divide by 3? Like this one can be divided by 2. That's a prime number. What's 18 divided by 2? 9. 9 is not a prime number, right? So now I can divide 9 by 3, and it gives me 3. If you have a pair, then it can be simplified. If you have a pair, it can be simplified. So this one can be simplified. Don't worry about it. Keep going. This one can be divided by 2. What does it give you? 18. And then 18 can be divided by 2. 9. And then 9 can be divided by 3. 3. Does it have pairs? Hay pares. Yeah, it has pairs. It has a pair of 3s and a pair of 2s. So yes, that can be simplified. This one can be divided by 2, and it gives me 7. Are there pairs? Hay pares aquí? Are there pairs? No. So it cannot be simplified. This one cannot be simplified. What about the last one? 20 can be divided by 2. That gives you 10. 10 can be divided by 2. That gives you 5. I have a pair of 2s, so it can be simplified. What's your answer? H, the one that cannot, la que no se puede, cannot be simplified. Okay? So I need you to study. This is a big grade, this 6 weeks. If you don't pass it, it's going to bring your grade down. If you're already failing, you could pass just because of this test.